yourselves at once. Dismissed.
Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles could potentially be the definitive way to play Final Fantasy Tactics.
I'm ready.
I just finished playing an hour of Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles, and I was blown away by the phenomenal voice acting,
Stand aside, sir. You are surrounded.
the vast array of optimization and accessibility options, the improved visuals that aren't polished to an uncanny degree, and it has just enough changes to keep veteran players on their toes while also still retaining what made the 1997 game a masterpiece. So the biggest change is the voice acting, and with how iconic Final Fantasy Tactics soundtrack is, I will admit I had some hesitations about it. I know that that's kind of like the modern go-to is to add voice acting, but I didn't want it to detract too much from the phenomenal soundtrack.
How about you?
Leave that to me.
That said, I think that they did a fantastic job with the voice acting. It suits all of the characters so well. Like Ramza and Delita's voice actors, which are obviously going to be the two most important, are exactly how they sounded in my head when I played this as a kid. So that was really cool. It felt like it was very brought to life and not some like added distraction. And on top of just having this great voice acting, there's all these little moments that are voiced now too.
Thank you, truly.
Everything just feels a lot more alive. And I really appreciated that. It's kind of, you know, when you go back to a game that was made almost 30 years ago, I'm so sorry if that makes you as upset as I am. But you know, it's nice to see it done, or like see it remade in a way that suits it. Another thing that really blew me away was how optimized and accessible it is. You know, and this is something I know that it has a reputation, right, of being kind of a more challenging, strategic, tactical game. But at the same time, I think that they have made it to where a lot more people will be able to play it and enjoy it. It's easier to retry and restart battles. You can fast forward through battles. You can save in the middle of battles. That way, if you're in the middle of something that's going to take you a good 45 minutes, you aren't necessarily tied to finishing that up. You have to leave your PlayStation 1 sitting turned on, which my mom always hated me doing. So that's always nice. Even in the overworld, there's lots of quality of life changes. You can now see what town sells what equipment. So you don't have to be like, oh man, I wanted to pick up Phoenix Downs, but I don't remember what town had. You can now check before you actually make the commitment of traveling all the way to it. It's beautiful. Another fantastic thing is you can change the difficulty at any time. I mean, first of all, the fact that there are difficulty settings is already chef's kiss, but the fact that you can change it at any time. It's great because there are plenty of games where like I might start on normal and then I realize I want it to be a little bit more challenging. You can do that. You're not committed and locked into playing it at a certain setting if you're struggling or if you find yourself excelling. I think initially too, I was a little bit hesitant on the updated visuals. Not to sound like a crotchety old person, right? But sometimes when the stuff is polished up, it can look a little bit too like rounded and it just loses kind of that retro charm, right? I feel like they did a good job of making things look more fluid, more HD, more polished, while also not making it look tacky or cheesy, you know what I mean? It still has texture to it. It still has that, but it also has the fluidity of modern HD graphics. Really appreciated that. Lastly, I think it treads the line of creating a new experience while also retaining what made it great really, really well. It's not just a War of the Lions port. I think at first there were some of us who thought that's kind of what it was going to be, especially because they did keep some of the cinematics. But there are certain points, even in the beginning section, where they don't play a cinematic that was in War of the Lions, and they instead have kind of the original tactics material playing. And so it kept me on my toes in a really interesting way. And on top of that, and naturally I didn't get to see this in my preview, there's supposed to be more dialogue options that kind of branch out, and there's also a slightly updated ending. That could be contentious. We'll see, you know, what ends up playing out. But at the same time, I'm excited because I don't necessarily want a complete overhaul a la like Final Fantasy VII, right? I do want something that makes the experience different from what it was before. So I think that they do a really good job of kind of wading through that and picking out the best of both worlds. I'm excited to see what happens. In short, I left my time with Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles really impressed and really looking forward to playing it when it comes out in a month. All that said, video games sure have come a long way since Pac-Man.